I started in the contact centre and then moved my way up and upskilled and took every development opportunity that Specsavers gave to me. And I'm now the executive assistant for the managing director, which is an absolutely amazing opportunity. And I'm also on the RST development programme, which is to be training to be a regional manager in the next 12 months, which is something that Specsavers has also provided for me. So that's myself. I'll let Beth introduce herself and then we'll get on with our presentation to let you know all about the Specsavers new talent programme that we have, and then any questions to follow.
Hello, so I'm Beth. I have been with Specsavers for coming up to 5 years now. I started working in Specsavers recruitment services, which is the recruitment for the stores. I then moved into the resourcing team for the support office, and that's when I was actually recruiting for the new talent programme as well. So I led the recruitment for this year's cohort, and then I've now just moved into a role as talent coordinator within the talent team. So slightly different to where I started, but still, you know, kind of links in with recruitment anyway. So yeah, I mean, that's just a little bit of an overview of me, really. But in terms of the presentation, are you happy for me to get started, Kelsey?
Absolutely. I will try and share my screen and hopefully it will work.
Cool. Okay, so we're just going to talk you through the new talent programme, basically, and give you just a bit of an insight into what the programme consists of, and a little bit about the application process from this year as well. So I think to start, we have one of the campaign videos from this year's programme recruitment. So if we play this one. Okay, so yeah, that was part of our See What's Possible campaign that was run this year for the programme. So to talk you through the application process a little bit, there were a few stages to the process this year. So obviously the first step was to apply via the careers website, and if you were successful at that stage, you then were requested to produce an expression of interest. So just kind of talking through why Specsavers, what does Specsavers mean to you, why should we choose you for the programme. In terms of that expression of interest, we received quite a range, really. Some were videos, some were kind of written pieces, some people made presentations, so there was a real mixture of I suppose of what that looked like, a mixture of different things. Following that, if you were then successful, moving to stage 3, that was to come along to an in-person selection event. So that was an event that took place in one of our offices. So we held a couple of different ones across the main offices. So in Southampton, in our Forum 6 office, in Nottingham, and in Guernsey. So they were the first event we ran, it was like a half-day thing, and then it was similar for the others as well. So you come along, there were a few parts to it. There was a group activity, which was a bit of a group debate. There was a solo presentation that the applicants had ahead of time, just to kind of go through and prepare for, and also then just an interview with some of our Specsavers colleagues. So as I say, there are a few different parts, but it was quite a nice thing to get involved in really and meet some of the other candidates that were also going through the same process at the same time. So sorry, Kelsey, can we move on to the next slide? So just to talk you through the actual programme, it's a 12-month programme, and there are a couple of different placements with that one. One thing that is worth mentioning is just that we can't guarantee a placement in specific areas of the business. So we had quite a lot of people this year apply, and obviously everyone has an area that they're particularly interested in, but it's just something to keep in mind, is that we can't guarantee you a placement within that area. But I mean, a lot of the time you would still be learning the same kind of skills, just because the title kind of doesn't necessarily line up with what you're interested in. For example, if you wanted to go into project management, there are still elements of the job that likely would link with that anyway. So your first placement in your kind of day job would be Monday to Thursday, with Friday being a development day within each week. You would have presentations that you have to deliver at month 3 and month 6, and a store placement week, the partners seminar, where you'd learn a lot about everything to do with the stores as well. Spending time in your nearest office, so whether that be Southampton, Nottingham or Guernsey, and also the Guernsey experience. So the Guernsey experience is you basically get to go and see the head office, and also have a bit of a tour of the island as well, I believe. So then placement 2, you will have a discussion to chat about your options for placement 2. So you can either take a sideways step into a different placement role at the same level, step in or step up into a role that's bigger than your experience, and this conversation will determine the second placement. So development moves to residentials and PDP focus within placement 2. You also do a second store placement week, RST shadowing day, final presentation at month 11, and graduation celebration. And at the end of the programme, permanent roles would be established through a career conversation based on whether you want to stay in the current role, if that's available, want to kind of step up into a role, but if you're in a step up role but it's not quite working, or are currently working at the right level but want to move role. So there are a few different options at the end of the programme, and you're always guaranteed a position within the company. We mentioned, sorry Kelsey, the next slide. So as part of placement 1, we mentioned the development Fridays. So there are a few different things that kind of you would get to be involved in through those. So firstly would be getting to know our business. So you'll learn all about optics, audiology, domiciliary, Numedica, the product itself, contact lenses, smiles and culture, and partnership. You also would learn about our group function. So everything kind of support office really, M&D, supply chain, people in operations, technology, commercial and finance, marketing, agency, property, and also strategic initiatives and internal expansion. And then also the last bit is about you and your development. So you would start off with a welcome day. There would be insights and self-discovery and presentation skills that you would be learning, wellbeing and inclusion and sustainability, networking, influencing and stakeholder management. What would be helpful to learn before your store placement week, reflection day, managing self through change and resilience, and then life in the retail team and recruitment. So you cover a whole range of things there really, but those Fridays are really about setting you up to be in the best position to know as much as you can about the business, and also to have all of the skills that you want to develop. So through the programme, there are kind of 3 main things that we're looking at. So number 1 is performing at your best. Number 2 is leading the work and others. And number 3 is supporting the business to perform. So These are the behaviours that the programme looks to promote and develop within the cohorts. It's not a competition, but obviously it's expected that you work hard and show up as your best self. Obviously the programme is a leadership programme, so as I said, linking in with the leading the work and others and supporting the business to perform. Throughout the programme, you have a support network. So there are 4 different parts to this. You have your line manager, who's responsible for the day-to-day leadership and support. They'll create a clear placement priorities and activities. They're your daily and weekly checkpoint on how you're doing. They're also there to help you navigate the day-to-day and support your development agenda, helps you to understand Specsavers' working environment, and helps with just the general job stuff. You have a group sponsor, so they're basically there to be positive, frank and honest. They offer perspectives, feedback and insights, shares relevant knowledge and experiences faced by other colleagues and their own, actively listens and asks constructive questions and acts as a sounding board for you. You also will have a buddy who would be an empathetic friend. They're enthusiastic and knowledgeable, comfortable with delivering feedback, has walked in your shoes, so can help navigate the new talent journey, shares relevant experiences of the programme, acts as a sounding board and helps with the programme stuff. And then finally, you have the programme team. So they're there really to create the experience, communicate what is to, kind of what to expect, and when, creates and delivers development sessions and chaperones on visits, helps you to create a tribe and a network, will help with offboarding and what comes next, always here to listen and help your experience be the best it can be, and also helps with just the other stuff as well. So yeah, as I say, you've got those 4 key areas as your support network. Some of the roles that we had available on the New Talent Programme this year were, there was a real range. You've got, for example, kind of digital producer, marketing assistant, UK finance analyst, commercial project manager, group sustainability coordinator, category manager in supply chain, junior audiology ops consultant, comms and ops coordinator, supply chain data and reporting analyst, project assistant, project manager, retail ops consultant, technology customer service desk analyst, studio manager, events coordinator, professional services consultant, and HR/payroll. So there's a real range there across all different areas of the business. So there's really a lot that you can be involved in, especially with having those 2 different placements, because you could start off, for example, in a digital producer role, and then you could move into something completely different, and it just kind of gives you the opportunity to experience as much as possible, and just to gain that knowledge of all of the different opportunities available to you within the business.
Sorry, I think as well, it's an amazing opportunity to be able to do a new talent programme and to have an organisation such as Specsavers to support you through that and give you all of the knowledge, and for you to step into a role for 6 months at a time, to get a real feel. And if it's something, or you don't know what you want to do when you leave university, or you have an idea and you go into a role, it's really then excellent to understand what your key strengths are, but also then your opportunities, and then that's why you have the support mechanism as well, so that they can help you through those development opportunities to make sure that if you're in the role and you really want to be in that role going forward, to then be the best that you can be. But it's also then to try different roles where you may want to go into a role, and then if you move onto your second placement and actually think that this is actually what I'm really passionate about, it's just to give that broad spectrum of the different areas of a business where you can really hone in on what you want to do going forward for your future career aspirations.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like you said, you could go into the programme thinking, I really want a career in marketing, but after a 6-month placement in a completely different area of the business, you could actually think, no, marketing's not what I want to do. I really love what I'm doing now. And it just gives you such a broad overview of the the business itself and all of the different opportunities that you have there. So that, I mean, that's just kind of an overview for everyone of what the New Talent Programme consists of, what the opportunities are within the programme, and also, I suppose, what the next stages look like afterwards. You are guaranteed that role within the business, and it's up to you to kind of, alongside having those discussions with your support network, to kind of decide what those next steps look like as well.
So we've also come up with some questions that have actually come up over the last 2 years, because this is actually quite new to Specsavers. The New Talent Programme has literally just been developed over the last 2 years, and we're now on our second cohort, and we have took questions from the first cohort and made some changes for the second. So we're continuously looking at the programme and the development opportunities that it gives, and taking feedback on board to make sure that it is the greatest experience that someone can have coming into the business, or just purely developing themselves as well. So we've popped on some regular questions that come up there. So you've got salary, so the new talent programme salary is competitive, and it also based upon the individual's experience. And we have profit share and a quarterly bonus, as well as healthcare also forms part of Specsavers reward package. How were the roles decided? So the half one placement is based on the skills and preferences that you detail during the selection process. And then half two, like Beth explained earlier, is based on what you have learned during your journey and the career conversations you have with your line manager and group sponsor. You can let us know where your interests lie, but can't guarantee anything. So be open-minded and willing to learn, which is, I think, what's great about this programme, is that it's really a great learning experience, but you're in a role at the same time. And it's not about fear and failure or anything like that, because as the next question states, can you fail? Absolutely not. And unless you need to leave the programme because it is not for you, it's not a pass or fail. It is for you to develop and for you to find your real passion and where you want to go in the future with your career. And then you've got, is there a role at the end of it? Absolutely, yes, you are guaranteed a role at the end of your programme. And you know, that might not be the role that you had on placement 1 or even placement 2, because you might actually find that there are other vacancies available at that time where you've really honed in on what your skills are to then be able to go on to that specific vacancy and career path. And then the aim of the programme is ultimately to stretch and develop individuals and push you out of your comfort zone. So that's it from us. Is there any questions at all?
Yeah, question time. If you could pop any questions you've got in the chat, or raise your hand if you'd want to ask one, or, as a lot of students do, I know, direct message me in case your question is kind of you don't want everyone to know what you're asking for some reason. That's absolutely fine.
If there are any questions that you think of later, if you want to take down this email address, katie.etches@specsavers.com, she's actually the program manager of New Talent, and you can also find Katie on LinkedIn if you wish to message her on there. So if there's any questions that I'm not able to answer currently, or if you haven't got any questions at the moment, or you don't want to ask on this forum and you want to do it on a private basis with Charlie, Katie, absolutely just let us know, and we'll be happy to answer those.
Fantastic. I have a question for you, actually, Kelsey and Beth. If Beth might have actually dropped off the call just now.
Yeah, I think she has, yeah.
That's okay, no problem. I have a question for you then, in that case, Kelsey. What do you think in your time at Specsavers, do you think has been the key skill that you've developed, or you've been supported to develop in your role at Specsavers?
So actually the key skill, it's going to sound really cheesy, but not being afraid to ask specific questions and to really throw yourself into every opportunity that becomes available. Because I started in the contact centre on the phones, supporting our customers and supporting our colleagues in store, it was about having that passion and showing your passion and showing that you want to develop. And I've done an apprenticeship. I'm now on a degree apprenticeship as well within Specsavers and on the training programme. So I think the one key skill is not be afraid to put yourself forward and not be afraid to potentially not have the skill that you think you may need to have to fulfill that role, because ultimately Specsavers is an organisation that is really passionate about developing their people, and if you want to do something, they will be there to support you in fulfilling that.
I think that's an interesting point you make. It's like when you're joining an organisation as a grad or in any capacity really, by definition, the organisation are not looking for the finished article. It's like it is a process that you go through in any career to develop and get better, and having that courage and that kind of self-awareness to kind of just like go for it and reach beyond your comfort zone is a really like key skill to have. And it is a skill, like developing that confidence and that courage to go out there and really kind of put yourself about. Really, yeah, great insight there. Thanks, Kelsey. Just one more question, actually, which I've been sent around, and you may not actually be able to answer this question.
Okay.
Do Specsavers offer kind of placement opportunities or internships or short-term kind of careers-based opportunities as well?
So I'm not actually sure. That will be one for Katie to answer. So if you just send Katie that message or that question directly, then she'll be able to pick that up.
Okay, cool. Just to close, as we don't have any further questions, I just want to ask you one thing, which is if you had to give one piece of advice to somebody who's looking at exploring their career options and kind of looking to apply to a grad scheme or any job, what piece of advice would you give someone who's kind of in that position?
Oh, that is a really good question. I think for me is just go for it. Just put your 100% into it. And I think go for an organisation. I mean, I'm a bit biased working for Specsavers, but going for an organisation who will support you throughout your development journey. Because for me, when I joined Specsavers, I knew that I didn't want to move from Specsavers from my interview going forward. So it's more about going into that role, but always thinking ahead as well, as because I've always thought I definitely continuously want to develop. So for me, it was to go into an organisation who has those development opportunities.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you for that very honest answer. It's always great to get those kind of insights from people actually working at the company in question. Really great stuff. So thank you very much. Brill. Well, thank you very much, Kelsey, for the session this afternoon, and thank you also to the students joining us both on the call now and the many of you I know who watch the recordings. It will be hosted on our site in 24 hours time. So those of you who joined the call, you got a little early access sneak peek into the session. So thank you for that. That is it for Employability Week today. We've had 4 sessions this afternoon. It's been absolutely fab. I've seen some of the names on every single call this afternoon, so thank you for sticking with me. It's been great, so thank you very much. Thank you, Kelsey and Specsavers, again for this session and that insight into those opportunities, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.